What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Thank you very much for joining me here on Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture podcast. It's Friday. I'm super happy you're here, whether you're on the Anchor app, in podcast form, or live and in color watching me on YouTube. As you can see, if you are watching on YouTube, I'm repping the Marvel hat today because I just got out of seeing Thor Ragnarok. And basically, today's episode is I want to gush at you about how much I liked Thor Ragnarok. This movie was an absolute treat, an absolute joy. I'm going to do my best to remain mostly, non-spoilers. I don't want to ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it. So, I won't go into plot details outside of things that have been seen in the trailers and stuff like that. But if you absolutely don't want to know anything about Thor Ragnarok, then probably best to listen to this after you have seen it just to be safe. But jumping into this movie, I think that, again, everything that I'm saying about this, I love it. So anything that seems like a slight detraction is just kind of musings into the air. So I think the first thing is that the tone of this movie is very different than previous Thor movies and then in other movies in the Marvel universe. This is very much like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie in that it is very funny, and there are lots of things played for laughs, which is very different than previous Thor movies specifically. Thor up to this point, especially in his solo movies, was a very serious character, and the humor that you got from Thor was in him maybe not necessarily understanding how to interact with regular humans. And that's mostly changed here. There's still a little bit of that, but for the most part, Thor is just a funny guy in and of himself, and you get funny, like, buddy cop moments with he and Hulk, and, sometimes there's funny interactions with villains. So it's not really like the first Thor movies. It's not really playing Thor for a joke. It's that Thor is kind of in on the joke, which I think is a vast improvement. It's very much the Guardians of the Galaxy format that they were aiming for, and I think that they nailed. I really like that Marvel has figured out that tone for movies where it can be jokey but not a joke. The plot still matters. The comic booky premise of the entire movie isn't just kind of thrown out the window because you're trying to make a few jokes here and there. So, I would be upset if the movie was worse because they wanted to do a few gags, but I think the tone and I think the jokes definitely build and add to what they are presenting in the movie, and just makes everything a lot more fun. In general, this movie felt like a huge adventure, which I liked a lot. And it felt like a uniquely Thor movie, even though they were kind of going for that Guardians of the Galaxy tone. It definitely felt like a solo Thor movie. It felt like, the stuff that was going on in Thor's world was something that only Thor could deal with. And I liked that. That was my one big criticism with Captain America Civil War, was that sure, it said Captain America on the poster, but when you got in there, it was just an Avengers movie. There wasn't anything that uniquely needed to be Captain America, and I think that's an easy thing to fall into. So I think still making a movie that feels unique to the character that it's supposed to be featuring is probably a hard thing to do. So I'm happy that they pulled that off here with Thor Ragnarok. As I said, the tone took a little getting used to, because it was so different than previous, but I'm really happy with kind of where they ended up. And, I think that it worked so well because Chris Hemsworth is a funny guy. Like, he's a very good comedic actor. We kind of got the first taste of that in Thor character during that skit where they were kind of explaining where Thor was at during Civil War, if you guys ever saw that. Basically, he was in Australia living with a guy named Daryl, and there's some really, really great bits of him, like, writing an email to Tony Stark, and, him putting up a sign that says, like, "Stay out, Daryl," in his room. Really great. Like, some of those jokes could have been very cheesy, and Chris Hemsworth pulls them off very, very well. Absolutely hilarious. So this feels like a continuation of that skit in a weird way. It's almost like they did that and saw, gosh, this guy can really pull off jokes, and then kind of kept going with it. And yeah, that's not to say that there weren't super serious moments in this film, because there definitely were. There were those amazing comic moments, but there were also moments that, Thor was super powerful, that he was very menacing, and then, things hit home as well. The whole movie is about, Hela threatening Asgard and threatening the Asgardians. And at times you really felt for them, like it was actually scary, it was actually terrifying. They really struck an impressive balance, just like the Guardians movies do, in going back and forth between those tones and kind of towing that line, if you will. Now, I mentioned Hela. Let's branch out and talk about the cast a little bit here, because what a stellar ensemble cast we had in this film. First of all, Cate Blanchett as Hela was fantastic casting. She plays an incredible, menacing, evil person. We unfortunately don't get a lot of backstory about her outside of, she was Odin's firstborn, and now she's here to kind of take back over. I would have liked to maybe flesh her out more as a character, but it's kind of hard when she's basically just supposed to be, a force of utter destruction. So she was good for the what little backstory we had for her, and boy, any scene she had to interact with people, you were kind of on the edge of your seat of like, oh, what's gonna happen? Who's she gonna kill next? So I really liked everything that she got to do. She was great in the film. Of course, Idris Elba continues to be awesome as the kind of subdued Heimdall, who is like kind of the keeper of the Bifrost. He's one of the coolest Asgardians, and he had tragically little to do in the previous movies that he was in. So I'm really happy that we got to see him do a bit more and just become this kind of awesome like savior character. Thor's away, but hey, we've still got like some awesome Asgardians that can kick butt. So I like that. I like that we got to see some awesome stuff out of Heimdall. Of course, probably my favorite character in the movie was Valkyrie. Valkyrie is portrayed by Tessa Thompson. So character debut here. We'd never seen Valkyrie before. And boy, she just flies off the screen. No pun intended, since she's a Valkyrie. But I love the introduction of Valkyrie. We find out about her as a character, kind of a little bit of her backstory and why she sort of, is in the position that she is and stuff like that. And I think the redeeming arc basically of her deciding to help out is really cool. I like kind of the path that they go. Apparently there were some kind of deleted scenes that delve a little bit deeper into her background that I would love to see. I definitely want to see an extended version of this movie, or at least just the bonus scenes on the Blu-ray that comes out, just to see what it's about, right? I want to know more about her, because she was a super great character, and I cannot wait. Just put her in any movie that you want, Marvel. Just like anything that comes out, I was like, can we put Valkyrie in this? Yeah, we probably can. Just go ahead and toss her in, because I didn't see enough of her in this film, and I want to see more. So, there was that rumored all-female superhero movie that they kind of want to get going. Definitely would love to have Valkyrie in that. And then, of course, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, in Hulk, all the characters that you come to love and expect that were great. But the one new guy that I want to point out, who was absolutely fantastic, the casting here is second to none. That's Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. This is basically someone casting Jeff Goldblum and telling him, just be as Jeff Goldblumy as you possibly want. There's really no wrong answer here, Jeff Goldblum, because everything that you've seen in the trailers of him only scratches the surface with how hilarious and weird that he is. And it's beautiful, because the whole point is that he is a weird, eccentric person who's lived for millions of years and created an entire planet only to amuse himself. So anything that he does is not out of character or weird, because that's the entire point. Fantastic. So I can't wait to see more Grandmaster, if we get a chance to do so in future movies. Yes, bring back Jeff Goldblum. Overall, I'm super excited that the transition of Thor to Thor in space went so well and so smoothly. And you know, overall, I love that kind of Marvel in space now with Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies has such a defined look to it. You know, and when I think about cosmic Marvel as far as the movies go, I can picture specific looking spaceships. I can picture, you know, specific looking colors and like debris and stuff and like planets and aliens. I love that they have kind of joined those things. And I'm super excited to see where that goes next. You know, I'm super excited to see Thor's further adventures in space. There's some stuff that's teased in the stingers at the end that are great. I really like where that stuff is going. And I'm so pumped to get Thor hooked up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and finally, you know, loop those guys into the greater Marvel universe. Fantastic. So that's going to do it for Pretty Decent for today. Like I said, loved this movie. Loved it, and just needed to gush to you guys about it. So thanks very much for joining me. Be sure to like Pretty Decent on Facebook. You can find that at facebook.com/PrettyDecentShow. Of course, follow me on Twitter. That's at PrettyDecentShow, and visit PrettyDecentShow.com. I'll be back tomorrow as always. Make sure until then you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single daily episode.